What if I told you that you can get the seller to pay $73,000 towards your mortgage for free? You'd listen, right? Well, buckle up, because that's exactly what I'm about to show you. Look, right now, sellers are scared, buyers are scared, everyone's terrified. And you know what Warren Buffett says? Be greedy when others are fearful. This is how you do it in real estate. Let me paint the scene for you real quick. Interest rates have everyone freaked out. Buyers are waiting on the sidelines thinking the market's going to crash. Sellers are desperate to cash out before they think things get worse. Fear is everywhere, and that fear is a negotiating tool. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how my clients are leveraging that fear to save tens of thousands on their mortgage. No, this isn't clickbait. These are real numbers, real deals, real strategies. I've been in mortgage for years. I survived the 2008 crash, and I studied under Barry Habib. When I tell you something works, it works. Let me ask you this. Would you rather try to time the market or time your own payments? Because that's what the smartest buyers are doing right now. So here's the scenario. You find a house you love, it's listed at, let's say, $2 million. You got 20% down, you're qualified, but you look at that 7% interest rate and you think, no way, not happening. But what if instead of walking away, you make an offer for $2,073,367? That's $73,367 above asking price. The seller sees this and thinks they hit the jackpot. But here's the catch. You're asking for that $73,367 back as a seller's credit. And that money funds what we call a 3-2-1 temporary buy down. Let me break that down for you. With a traditional mortgage at today's rates, let's say 7%, your payment on that $1.6 million loan would be $10,645 per month. That's a tough pill to swallow. But with a 3-2-1 buy down, year one, you only pay 4%. That is $7,638. Year two, you pay 5%. That's $8,589. And in year three, you pay 6%. That's $9,592 monthly. And only in year four do you hit that full 7% at the $10,645 mark. That's a savings of $3,007 per month in the first year alone. Over 3 years, that's the $73,367. And it's paid entirely by the sellers. Let that sink in. The seller is paying $73,367 to reduce your mortgage payments for the next 3 years, and you didn't pay an extra dime to do it. Now here's where it gets even better. You're essentially using tomorrow's money today. What do I mean by that? Look at all the projections. Rates are expected to drop over the next 24 months, 100%. That's a high likelihood that you'll refinance before you even hit that third year. And here's the kicker. That's what most people don't know. Any unused subsidy, that seller credit, it comes back to you at refinance time. So if you refinance after 18 months, you get the resulting credit back. Not just smart, it's strategic. You're not just buying a house, you're buying time funded by the seller's fear. You're negotiating peace of mind. Let's talk about the psychology here. Why would a seller agree to this? Simple. They've been sitting on that listing for 47 days. They're getting nervous. Their agent is getting nervous. Their next showing isn't for a week, and the last 3 buyers walked away because of rates. Then you come in and offer above asking price. Their eyes light up. Yes, there's a seller credit involved, but psychologically, they've already anchored on that higher number. They're focusing on what they're getting, not what they're giving back. This is how you use fear to your advantage. Most people are negotiating price right now. Big mistake. In this rate environment, credit equals power, and smart buyers know this. Now, let's compare strategies. Some lenders might tell you about a 2-1 buy down. That's where you get 2% off the first year, or 5%, 6% for year 2, and back up to the full 7% on year 3. The total savings there is about $37,000. Not bad. But with a 3-2-1 buy down, I'm showing you that's $73,000 in savings, nearly double. These aren't theoretical numbers. These are real figures from deals that we closed last month. That's a real buyer who walked into their dream home with a first year's payment of $76.38 instead of $10,645. That's $3,000 staying in their pocket every single month for a year, all because they structured the deal correctly. Now, let me tell you about Michael and Sarah. They came to me after losing out on 3 houses. Their agent was pushing them to offer under asking. The market's cooling, she said. I told them to do exactly the opposite. They found a $1.1 million home that had been listed for 63 days. Instead of offering 1.8 like their agent suggested, they offered 1.973. The seller fell over with excitement. But here's where it gets good. They asked for that $73,000 back as a seller's credit to fund their 3-2-1 buy down. The seller accepted within the hour. Michael and Sarah got the house they wanted, 3 years of reduced payments, a strategy to refinance when rates drop, and the seller who thought they were the ones who were getting a deal. That's what I call a win. Now, you might be thinking, that sounds too good to be true. Let me explain why this works, specifically in today's market. First, inventory is slightly up. Houses are sitting longer. Sellers are only getting anxious. Second, interest rates have created psychological barriers. Buyers are looking at that 7% and freezing. But what if you could bypass that psychological barrier for the first 3 years of homeownership? Third, we know based on historical patterns and Fed projections that rates are likely to drop in the next 12 to 24 months. So you're basically creating a bridge from today's high rate environment to tomorrow's low rate environment. And you're making the seller pay for that bridge. You're not asking for a handout, you're asking for a strategy. This isn't 2008. You're not a rookie. You're a strategic buyer in a fear-driven market. Now, let's address some objections. Would a seller just reject my offer? Maybe. Some will. But remember, every 10 houses you're considering, at least 3 to 4 of those sellers are genuinely worried. They've got pressure points. Maybe they already bought their next home. Maybe they're relocating for work. You just need one seller to say yes. But what if rates don't drop? I'm stuck with a 7% in year 4. First, you still enjoyed 3 years of savings. That's $73,000 you didn't have to spend. Second, there are other refinance strategies we can implement down the road. And third, if you're planning on staying at home long term, that cost over 30 years is still a win. Remember, you can always refinance a rate, but you can't refinance a purchase price. Here's something most people miss about this strategy. It's not just about saving money, it's about qualifying for more house. So how do you actually implement this strategy? Well, you find a lender who understands buydowns. Not all do, and that's where I come in. Get pre-approved based on a buydown payment, not the note rate payment. 3, target homes that have been sitting on the market, ideally 30 plus days in today's environment. 4, make your offer slightly above asking to get the seller's attention. Request the seller's credit for the exact amount needed to fund your buydown. Your offer letter should specifically state offer price of X with seller's credit of Y to be used exclusively for a 3-2-1 temporary buydown. The language, it matters. It signals to the seller that you're serious and that you understand financing. Here's what's really happening with this strategy. You're not just saving money on your mortgage, you're playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. When everyone else is debating, should I buy or wait for the prices to drop? You're asking a smarter question. How can I buy now and protect myself from today's higher interest rates? Fear is driving this market, but fear is just an emotion. Data is what should drive decisions. And data shows you using a temporary buydown funded by seller's credits is one of the smartest moves in today's environment. You're not timing the market, you're timing your payment. Some of you are probably thinking, but Ramin, what if prices fell further? Should I just wait? Look, I get it. Nobody wants to catch a falling knife, but let me show you the math. If prices drop 5% on a $2 million home, that's a savings of $100,000. Sounds great, right? But if interest rates drop just 1% during that same period, you'd save about $320,000 over the life of the loan. So what's worth more? Waiting for the price to drop that may or not happen, or securing a strategy that saves you money regardless? Now, I'm not saying home prices won't fall in some markets. They might. But I am saying that structuring your deal correctly gives you protection no matter what happens. Here's something most agents won't tell you. The best deals in this market aren't made at the offer table. They're made at the closing table. And what do I mean by that? Well, most agents are trained to negotiate purchase price. That's their focus. But in a high interest rate environment, the real power is in the terms. Seller credits, buy downs, closing cost coverage, these are the levers that actually impact how much money stays in your pocket every single month. This isn't just about buying a house, it's about buying a house on your terms. Now for some real talk. People ask me all the time, Ramin, is it a good time to buy? My answer is always the same. It's a good time to buy when you find a house you love at a payment you can afford. Full stop. With that strategy I'm showing you today, you can make almost any time a good time to buy because you are not at the mercy of market timing. You are creating your own timing. You're using seller concessions to bridge the gap between today's rates and tomorrow's rates. That's not luck, that's strategy. So let's wrap this up. The 3-2-1 buy-down strategy is one of the best kept secret in today's markets. Most people think the power is in the price. It's not. The power is in structure. Fear is a weapon. Use it wisely. When sellers are scared, you've got leverage. When you use that leverage correctly, well, you can save tens of thousands of dollars on your mortgage, not by timing the market, not by waiting for prices to drop, but by structuring a deal that works no matter what happens next. This is Ramin's Survive the Crash. If you found this valuable, smash that like button, hit subscribe, drop a comment below with your questions. In the next episode, I'm breaking down the 3 types of seller's credits nobody's talking about. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Until then, remember, in a market driven by fear, the fearless make the most money. I'll see you next time.